military chopper cuts through the fog as Major Alan Dutch Schaefer and his elite rescue squad touch down at a remote coastal base. The men are confident, skilled, and armored with experience more than gear. Dutch steps forward with leadership calm enough to silence a room. That's when he sees him, Dylan, an old teammate now wearing a CIA suit instead of combat scars. Dutch isn't happy about it, and during the handshake, Dylan squeezes harder than needed, a silent challenge. Dutch stares back, unblinking, and says quietly,
"Dylan! You son of a bitch!"
Their arms lock, muscles flex, ego versus ego. The tension is real before the jungle even begins. Dylan explains the mission, a kidnapped government official taken deep into rebel territory. Dutch doesn't like CIA involvement, but he accepts, because his loyalty is to his men, not politics. Soon they're airborne, flying into dense jungle fog until the chopper fades into the clouds. They rappel into the dense jungle, humid, hot, silent, alive. Every branch looks like a threat. From somewhere far above, a non-human vantage point watches their descent, tracking heat signatures. The team moves until they discover the wrecked helicopter, torn apart and jammed high into the trees. No crash site, no ground impact, no survivors. Tracker Billy studies the soil. Rebels pass through, yes, but another squad too. Well-equipped, American, recent. Moments later, they find 3 bodies, skinned and suspended from the canopy like trophies, left to rot. Dutch's eyes freeze. The identification tags belong to Jim Hopper, a man Dutch once trusted with his life. Something is wrong. This wasn't a rebel execution, it was something else. Dylan swears he has no idea, but Dutch's silence says he doesn't believe him. The team follows the trail to a heavily fortified enemy camp. Without hesitation, they execute a precise, silent, synchronized assault. Explosions tear through huts. Bullets shred through wooden barricades, and enemies fall before they even realize they're under attack. Inside the camp, Blaine casually spits tobacco, completely unfazed by the firefight.
I ain't got time to bleed.
The battle ends, smoke rises, bodies fall still, but something is off. The hostages they were sent for were never hostages. They were CIA agents, already dead, executed long before Dutch even arrived. Dylan finally confesses. Dutch wasn't sent to rescue anyone. He was sent to wipe out an enemy, unknowingly acting as disposable assets. Dutch stares, betrayed, voice low with controlled anger.
My men are not expendable.
No one argues, because he isn't bluffing. The team secures Anna, their only living captive, and prepares to move to the extraction point. But something unseen is already pacing them through the trees. Not hunting them for strategy, not for war, not for survival, for kill trophy. The team leaves, pushing deeper into the forest. The sunlight barely cuts through the trees now. The jungle feels tighter, heavier, like it's closing around them. Anna walks in silence, constantly glancing into the trees as if something is still there. When asked what she saw during the ambush, she only whispers that the forest took the body, not a person. Dutch keeps the team tight, but fear is beginning to replace confidence, and fear is louder than gunfire. From somewhere unseen, a distorted clicking sound echoes, not animal, not human. Anna suddenly bolts into the trees. Hawkins sprints after her, grabbing her by the arm. But before he can finish a sentence, something invisible rushes between the leaves and takes him instantly, without sound, without struggle. There's no body, only blood. The squad forms up, weapons high, hearts racing. Billy scans the tree line with pure instinct, not logic. His voice trembles just slightly.
There's something out there waiting for us, and it ain't no man.
They regroup and begin moving again, tension rising like the heat. Then out of nowhere, a burst of energy slams into Blaine, blowing him off his feet and dropping him instantly. Blaine's closest friend, Mac, collapses beside him in shock, eyes wide, rage building. And through the shimmering outline of something not visible, 2 glowing eyes look back at him. Mac doesn't hesitate. He unloads everything he has, grabbing Blaine's massive minigun and firing blindly into the jungle. The rest of the team joins him, ripping the forest apart with bullets and explosives until smoke hides everything. But when the chaos stops, Billy checks the ground. No blood trail, no body, no target, nothing. The team is no longer hunting. They're being hunted, and whatever it is plays by rules they don't understand. They stay awake through the night, surrounding their camp with tripwires, flares, and makeshift alarms. No one speaks, no one sleeps. Even breathing feels dangerous. Billy leans closer to Dutch and quietly says the only thing his instincts allow.
We're all gonna die.
No one argues, because deep inside, they know he isn't guessing anymore. The traps spring, but it wasn't the killer, just a wild boar. The real threat bypassed their defenses without making a sound and took Blaine's corpse right from under them. Not even death meant release. With morale fractured, Dutch forms a risky plan. They build a massive, primitive trap using vines, counterweights, and a net strong enough to lift a car. Dutch stands in the open clearing, forcing himself to be the bait, breathing slow, scanning shadows. The trap springs. Something thrashes violently, but then cuts itself free and vanishes into the foliage like it was never there. That's when Dutch realizes the most terrifying truth yet. It watches them, learns from them, adapts faster than they can react, and it chooses who dies next. Ignoring orders, Max slips away in a rage-fueled pursuit, determined to kill whatever took Blaine. Dylan follows, trying to help, not knowing they are already inside the hunter's playground. Max spots the shimmering outline above him and slowly steadies his weapon. A flash, and the jungle goes silent again. Moments later, Dylan sees the same three-point laser crawl across his arm before the forest erupts with violence. His rifle falls from his severed limb as he stares at the unseen executioner in disbelief. With his last breath, he tries to fight back, but the jungle answers with fatal silence. With most of his team gone, Dutch pushes forward through the thick fog of fear, pulling the wounded Poncho with Anna at his side. But another silent blast hits Poncho, ending his fight instantly. Anna instinctively reaches for a weapon, but Dutch kicks it away, breathing hard, realizing the terrifying rule: it only attacks people who are armed. Guns don't protect them. Guns invite death. Dutch forces his voice through panic, ordering Anna to escape.
Get to the chopper!
She runs. Dutch turns to follow, but a powerful blast sends him flying off a cliff, crashing through branches, slamming into the river below. He's dragged through violent rapids and thrown over a waterfall, disappearing beneath the surface. He crawls through mud to the riverbank, broken, exhausted, weaponless, and that's when it steps through the mist. A towering humanoid shape, shimmering, glitching, its cloaking system short circuits, revealing something not from Earth, armored with technology beyond anything he's ever seen. It scans for heat signatures. Dutch doesn't register. The mud has hidden him. For the first time, Dutch is invisible to it. He realizes he can't outfight it. He must outthink it. Dutch crawls away and slowly begins to transform himself. Not into a soldier, but into a primal hunter. He smears himself in mud as camouflage, sharpens wooden stakes, shapes spears, and packs gunpowder into improvised arrows. He builds deadfalls, snare traps, and pressure triggers from vines and stones, this time not to capture, but to kill. Finally, he lights a towering fire and lets out a primitive roar, a challenge, not a cry. The forest answers with silence. Then, the hunter arrives. Dutch fires an explosive arrow, damaging its cloaking system and exposing its armored body. He uses shadows, mud, and silence to stay hidden, but eventually the creature adapts again, cornering him near the water. Instead of firing, it pauses, curious, almost impressed. It removes its shoulder cannon, then its mask, revealing its monstrous face with mandible jaws clicking open, accepting honor combat.
One ugly motherfucker.
The creature attacks with brutal strength. Dutch gets thrown, crushed, and nearly strangled, barely surviving by luring it beneath his final trap, a massive counterweight. He whispers one last taunt, exhausted.
Kill me, I'm here! Kill me!
It approaches strategically, sensing the trick, but unknowingly steps beneath the counterweight's path. Dutch slams the trigger. The giant log falls, crushing the creature beneath its own arrogance. Crawling, dying, the creature activates a device on its wrist, and Dutch watches symbols flash like a countdown. He backs away slowly, then runs. The laughter starts, digital, broken, haunting, mimicking Billy's voice. A blinding explosion wipes out the jungle floor. At sunrise, surrounded by ash, Dutch is pulled into a helicopter, silent, hollow-eyed, covered in soot, staring out the window as if the hunt is not truly over. Because now he knows, it wasn't anger, it wasn't war, it wasn't survival, and Earth is not the only hunting ground. Dutch survived the jungle, but elsewhere, a man crawled through ice, starvation, and death itself, with nothing but revenge keeping him alive. If you want another brutal test of human survival, watch The Revenant next.